Okay, everyone, so after the Boston Massacre in 1770, things started to progress very quickly. I am at the Old South Meeting Hall. This was actually built in 1729 as a Puritan meeting hall, like a church. In fact, Benjamin Franklin was baptized here. Forget, he was actually born in Boston. So Benjamin Franklin was baptized here, and this was actually the largest meeting place in all of Boston during the colonial period. Now, after the Boston Massacre, things were moving in a direction that were leading closer and closer and more probable to revolution. This is a very, very tall building. They had the tea was the one that they were protesting at this one. They had the sugar, they had stamp, those had been repealed. Now they were doing tea. So this is December of 1773, December 16th to be exact. And this is where a lot of the colonists that are protesting the heavy hand of the British Parliament's taxes are meeting to discuss what to do about the levy on tea. Now, a lot of this was actually hurting local merchants in favor of British merchants, and that was kind of one of the things, is that they wanted the control, they wanted to decide who they were going to do business with. Even if some reports show that the tea, including the tax, was cheaper than the other options were in the time period. So if the colonies were actually saving money is kind of up to debate. However, they were trying to save their own jobs and promote their own efforts versus that from England. So here on December 16th, 1773, they meet and they decide, yep, we're going to do this. And they dress up like Native Americans. Now, everyone knew they weren't actual Native Americans. Everyone kind of knew who everybody was. But they marched from here down to the harbor and broke into the West India Company and started throwing all their tea overboard. Only one person was ever prosecuted over the whole ordeal, but the government said, Boston, you're going to have to pay for all this tea. Your subject, you're going to have to pay for all this tea. And I don't believe that ever happened, because this was 1773. Pretty much by 1774, all the taxes, all the levies on the colonies, especially Massachusetts, were done. But the only problem was that they took away self-rule, self-governance from the colonists, and that was kind of the big no-no. They also had the Quebec Act, and they started moving the borders of Quebec down, which is French Catholic. Boston was Protestant. There's a lot of little things other than taxes that were leading up to problems here, and the Crown didn't seem to listen to any of the grievances. And that's what leads you to 1775, and then you start getting into Lexington and Concord and the rebel rousing by John Adams, Samuel Adams, and by John Hancock, who was primarily financing this whole thing up to this point. So the Continental Congress hasn't met yet when this takes place, really. They're just still kind of deciding what is going on. The Boston is pretty much Massachusetts, the only one really having any problems. But after this, the meeting hall and the Boston Tea Party, things start to move pretty quickly. And by 1775, you're getting to the point to where revolution is almost inevitable. And we'll see that in later videos. But this is the South Meeting Hall. This is where the planning and organization of the Boston Tea Party takes place on December 16th, 1773. All right, on to the next stop.